Hey guys, you can see right here, I got back from Dollar General, and on the way there, I was thinking about this Death Note, and it's a, I've talked about this before, and I kind of asked, what would you do if you had a Death Note? I mean, because we all know if a Death Note dropped onto the into our world, we would use it. There's no doubt. And if you say you wouldn't, you're lying to yourself. There are plenty of people that who probably end up, deserve to end up in that book. So anyone who can sit there and say that they don't know anyone, they're lying. I mean, just looking at TV. If you're watching TV, there are plenty of people who you see every day who are fucking raping children, murder, and this and that. They deserve to be in there. But we're not going to talk about that. I forgot how long ago I made that video, but I made it a while ago. But just look at my channel, you'll find it. I think it's just called like Death Note. But I was thinking about the ending of Death Note, and and I was thinking it's like the thing that happens is, in my opinion, not. I mean, okay, I get. Okay, let me back up a bit. If you haven't seen the ending of Death Note, go watch it. If you haven't seen Death Note in general, go watch it. It's only like 32 episodes long, or like 36 or something like that. It's not a long series. And then come back and then pick up from here. But basically, they go. Nier kind of confronts Light and pretty much proves that Light is Kira. Light starts laughing like a fucking maniac. His eyes start glowing red. I mean, I understand what they were doing. In that moment, he's kind of letting the real Light out, the Kira part of him out, rather than just being this, oh yeah, my name's Light Yagami, and I'm just this wholesome little person who would never harm a fly, and I'm gonna fight to find Kira, and when he does, I'm bringing him to justice. No, the end, he truly shows who he is, and he is Kira at the end. And so Mikami comes in and tries to, he's tried to kill everyone, and he can't because the notebook is fake, or at least the pages that he's using have been switched out. And Nier's like, oh yeah, we switched the notebooks, we did all switcheroo on ya. We counted up to today and knew that you would write this many names and this and that, and so we just wrote all the pages from then all the way up to today. We removed and all that great stuff. But he loses it for a little bit, or Light loses it for a little bit, and then there's this moment where he gets really, really calm, and he's like, well, here's a little food for thought. How do you know that the both notebooks are real? And as he's saying this, he's walking away from everyone. Everyone's behind him, none the wiser. He's talking, and before he went, he has his watch on, and inside his watch is a torn piece of the notebook, and he has his pen, and I think like a pin with him, just in case. So he's walking, and he stops, and he like puts his arms out, and he just keeps talking. And meanwhile, everyone's watching him, and he's doing a little, on the watch, he like pulls the thing like 4 times, and a little like side panel opens up with a little piece of notebook. And then, like an idiot, he announces that he's writing a name on it, in which case Masuda shoots him. He stops for a second, but then he tries writing again with his blood. Masuda shoots him again. And we all know what happens. He ends up, Mikami ends up being a distraction by, like, stabbing himself, killing himself, and Light leaves. Ryuk writes his name in the notebook, and you have this nice symbolism that you see Light when he finally dies. He's on a staircase, but he's in between. He's neither on the bottom nor on the top. And if you remember what Ryuk said, that when a person who owns the notebook dies, that they don't go to heaven or hell. They don't go up. They don't go down. They become nothing. They're in the middle. Which one would think that he becomes a Shinigami, because then not too long after they had this little special thing where they showed a Shinigami that resembles very much Light, and he even gives Ryuk an apple, and wants to hear the tale of Light, and but anyways, but the thing that I keep thinking about is, why did Light announce himself like that? So as he's walking, like I said, they were none the wiser. They were just standing there. So had he been walking and been doing this at the same time, he could have easily slipped out that piece of paper, and kept it pretty, down pretty close to where they wouldn't suspect anything. And he could have been writing names. Apart from Near, the people with Near, and I can't remember if he knew Near's name, but everyone else on the force he knew, so he could have easily just taken out the people who were with him. Now I think regardless of the outcome, he still wouldn't have made it, because Masuda's the one who shot him, but I think that had they needed to, Near's men would have shot him. But then again, they probably would have shot to just, disarm him, essentially. So he would have been brought to justice, because he wouldn't have had all those distractions. I mean, maybe Mikami would have still stabbed himself, but without so many people in the room, one person could have held on to Light, and then the other people, whoever else could have attended to Mikami, even though Mikami died anyway. Like I said, I think there's only two ways for this to happen. I think Light either dies or he gets sent to jail. But I want to know why he announced it. Like, oh yeah, he turns around, or it looks like he turns around, and he's got his pen, he's got a little tiny piece, and they're like, he's got a piece of the note, and that's when Masuda shoots him. But why? He could have done it so much easier. He could have kind of won. Or what would have been really cool with what happened, I would have loved to see everyone die except for him and Near. Something like that. Or maybe kind of like he does with relinquishing the ownership of the Death Note, when he kind of like gives Ryuk a code name, or not a code name, a code word. It's like, yeah, when you hear this word, that means I'm relinquishing my ownership of Death Note. Well, he must have known that people were, this could have gone south for him, so maybe he could have made the exchange for the eyes. When saying, oh yeah, Ryuk, by the way, when I say this certain word, things might get bad for me, and I'd rather cut my life in half rather than be sent to jail or die. So when I say this word, that means I want the Shinigami eyes, so that way, so he could have kind of made it to where he's standing there facing them and getting all their names, and then kind of done something to distract them, walked away and started talking like he did before, and that way he could write everything down. Because it's like, oh yeah, you need the face and the name, and obviously he knows the face and names of everyone who works for him. The only one I think he didn't know was Near, which obviously if he had the eyes, he would have been able to do. He could, if he had had the eyes, he could have walked out, most likely. He could have, him being as smart as he is, he most likely could have figured out a way to get all those names down. Maybe even planned it beforehand, thinking, okay, I might be found out, I might end up possibly being killed or sent to jail. What can I do and what can I say in order to get these people's names down in the notebook? I understand why he had to die, which is, he goes the entire show. He starts out the series fighting for justice, taking out those who, harmed the innocent and stuff like that. But then he just goes to flat out killing people. He watches his father die. He doesn't give a shit. He manipulates everyone. He uses Misa, who wants to do nothing but support him and love him, and he uses her. But in the movie I watched, it's weird. they have a kid named Hikari, and Hikari is Misa and Light's son. And it really didn't matter because he ends up being killed by Mikami. Apparently, Mikami takes their son to America, and one of the guys follows them, finds that Mikami has killed Hikari, and then the guy kills Mikami. So yeah, they have a son, but it really didn't matter because the son got killed anyway by Mikami. But just in this series, or not real series, but in the movie. But yeah, it was one of those things. It's just like, why would he do that? With I understand it was in a moment where he was probably frantic and trying to think of ways out, but why would he announce to everyone that he was using like a piece of the notebook? Like I said, he could have easily walked over, and as he was walking over, 1, 2, 3, 4, got the little piece, and just started writing names. But yeah, I just didn't understand it. I mean, obviously, I understand it, the ending, the symbolism, and this and that. But from what we saw the entire time of Light, it was very out of character for him to be acting so frantic and crazy. But like I said, he was showing the Kira part of him, and it was also the moment where he's been shot by Masuda, and Mikami is looking at him, and like he's on the ground, Light's on the ground, like writhing on the ground in pain because he's been shot, and Mikami is kind of like realizing that, oh my God, he's not a god, he's just a man. I mean, he still supports him, but he realizes in that moment that Light isn't a god. The great big bad Kira is not a god. He's just a normal person, and there Kira is on the ground, writhing in pain, all shot up. So I realize why they made him do certain things or say certain things, because they want to show that Kira pretty much had taken complete control over him. That he realized he was caught, so he's acting frantic and irrational. So I guess you can play it off on that. But I definitely would have wanted to have him keep his cool, but still end up dead in the end. I mean, because why would you want him to live after everything he did? But yeah, but that's just like I said, that was just thoughts of mine when I was going to Dollar General and coming home. But yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, okay, there we go. There's a question. So you've heard the way I could want it to end, the series to end, in some ways. What would be a cool ending for you? Something that wraps everything up, exposes Light for being Kira, kind of lets his Kira side of him really take control and show everyone who Light really is, but also have a satisfying conclusion, whether he's arrested or dies. How would you want the series to end? Let me know below. Thumbs up, thumbs down, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.